There are certain muscles that you need to focus on building first if your goal is to get a physique that actually gets noticed by women. Now, a while ago, I was in Portugal and I was out at night with a girl, as I usually am, and we were walking down the street together. She was trailing slightly behind me and she said something to me. She said, "Your body has a really nice shape to it." And I looked back, I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "It's like this kind of shape." And obviously, in the moment, I had to play it cool. I said, "Yeah, whatever, thanks." But in my mind, I was thinking, let's go. The hard work is finally paying off. Now, I didn't always have a physique that gets complimented by women, but I knew that I always wanted one. So, after I figured out how to train to actually develop that kind of shape, that's when it changed. My confidence went through the roof. My results with women went through the roof as well. So today I'm going to reveal the exact 4 muscles that you need to prioritize in order to create maximum attraction and my proven system to build them strategically. A lot of guys waste time in the gym, even years, building the wrong type of muscles, prioritizing the wrong muscles, when it's only these 4 that you need to focus on in order to transform how women see you. So have you ever heard a girl say, "Oh, you know that guy? He has really nice hamstrings." I doubt that you have, because that muscle is not very high in order of importance when we're trying to build an attractive physique. Now, the physique, the frame that we're going for is a V-taper physique. That's the type of physique that's the most attractive to women. That's the type of physique that triggers attraction from women, both consciously, subconsciously, doesn't matter. If a woman sees you with that physique, majority of the time she's going to be like, "Yeah, that guy is sexy." Now, the equivalent of this for a male's perspective is a woman that has an hourglass shaped type physique. So slim waist and a thick ass. Now, when you see that type of physique, you think, "Fuck, that's sexy." And that's the exact type of reaction that a woman is gonna have when she sees you with a V-taper frame physique. You'll see a lot of guys in the gym kind of focusing on the wrong muscles. For example, the biceps, the traps, the overall chest. Now, this might build a physique that's kind of intimidating in the gym. You might see a big guy with these really overdeveloped muscles, but we don't really give a shit about what the guys in the gym think. We care about what that sexy girl on the beach thinks, because that's who we want to fuck. We don't want to fuck the guys in the gym. So we're building a type of physique that's catered more towards women rather than just respect from men. Now, you still will get respect from men because they know that it's hard work to achieve a physique like this, and they also know the effects that it has on women, which they also want. They're just unsure of how to do it. So we're strategically building our physique for maximum visual impact towards women, and not just to get big and bulky overall. Okay, so the muscles that you need to be prioritizing in order to build this type of physique, in no particular order, just depending on what your body looks like currently. The first is going to be the shoulders. The shoulders have 3 main sections: the front delt, the side delt, and the rear delt. Now, we're most interested in the side delt because that's going to add width to our frame to create a V-taper physique. However, the front delt is going to be the second most important because that contributes more to like a capped shoulder look, which looks nice. And the rear delt, that's also it's lower down in the order of importance, but to build overall round shoulders, it does still need to be trained. The width from your shoulders are what's going to give you that nice broad frame look at the top. And also the cap delts are just going to make your arms look better overall as well. Now, the second muscle, and this is going to be the muscle that initiates the V-taper, which starts at your waist, and these are going to be the lats. Now, the lats, they're part of your back muscles, but when they're developed enough, you can see them from both the back and the front, which is very powerful for that V-taper physique. The wide lats and the wide shoulders combined, they're the most vital muscles for actually providing the V-taper frame. Now, the third muscle is going to be your upper chest. The upper chest is what's going to differentiate your physique from just a V-taper physique, a nice V-taper physique, into a sexy, masculine, proper physique. The upper chest, that basically fills out your frame, fills out the top half of your torso to actually look really good. You combine the filled out upper chest, the bolder shoulders, the wide lats, and now you've got a serious physique. The physique that women are thinking, "Oof, I want a piece of that." Now, the final muscle is going to be the abs. Bear in mind, for all these muscles, for this physique in general, you need to be at a low body fat percentage for the maximum impact. But the abs are going to basically tie the whole physique together. They're going to turn your physique from a good physique into a physique like a women are thinking, "What the fuck? Who's that? Is he a fitness model? Is he an athlete?" Like, he has to be something. You can't look that good and not be something, right? The combination of all these muscles combined create not a gym bro physique, not a fucking half-hearted exerciser physique, but an attractive athletic physique that women respond very positively to. Okay, so now that you understand all of that, we can talk about how to actually build those muscles. Now, first of all, to set yourself up for success, you have to be lean enough to actually see the muscle that you're building and to have an attractive physique. You can build all those muscles all you want, but if you're not lean enough to see them, you won't have an attractive physique. And I'll quickly touch on how to do that later. But back to the muscles. To start off with, you need to assess what your current development is like in each area, in each of the muscles that I've talked about, because that'll allow you to know which muscles that you want to focus on first. Whichever muscle, whichever exercise you do first in a specific session, that's the one that's going to receive the most stimulus for growth. So that's the one that's going to grow the fastest. Now you can chop and change, but I'd recommend to stick with the same program for a while. We'll talk about that in a second. But when you know which muscles you have to prioritize first, you put them first in the session. Now, you need to see how far off a nice V-taper physique you are. If your waist is like this and then it just goes straight up like that, then I'd say focus on the lats first. If you have a little bit of a V-taper, right, but your shoulders might be kind of small, then obviously focus on the shoulders and whatever muscle it is for you. And after you've put that muscle first for a while, then you can go ahead and reassess. Maybe it will be another muscle out of the 4 that we've talked about that you want to do first. So for example, say it was your upper chest that you were doing as exercise number 1 in the session. After a few months, you're like, oh, okay, my upper chest is actually all right now. Let's go on to the lats, let's do them first. So let's go on to actual exercises that you can go ahead and do for all these muscles. Now, shoulders first again. You already know that the side and then the front delt are going to be the most important. So an exercise that actually hits both of them well is an overhead press, either on a machine, Smith machine, whatever. That's going to target both the front and the side delt well, and make sure your elbow is stacked above your wrist to actually get the most force out of the shoulder. Now, I wouldn't go ahead and isolate the front delt, for example, with a front raise or something, because it already gets more than enough stimulus from shoulder press and also some upper chest exercises. But what I would isolate is the side delt. As I've already clarified, that's very important for the V-taper frame that we want. So you can go ahead and do lateral raises, cable, machine. A lot of guys do lateral raises with dumbbells, for example, and they really just shrugging the weight up. You know, no control, no form. Your form needs to be perfect in every exercise. And when you shrug the weight up with lateral raises, you just turn it into more of a trap exercise, which we don't want. We want the side delts, not the traps. Fuck the traps. So for me, and I actually am prioritizing shoulders at the moment. So in my session, I'm starting off with overhead press and then lateral raises. Now the lats, we already know we want a wide back, right? For us, the width is more important than the thickness. You do the upper back exercises later. So for the lats, you're gonna do lat pull downs. That's the number 1 exercise for me, to build wide lats. For me, that's all I do for the lats, lat pull downs, because I enjoy them the most. And you'll always train harder in an exercise that you enjoy than doing one that you don't. But as a good alternative, you can do chest supported seated rows with a tucked elbow so that you bias your lats and not your upper back. Now, I might start doing them soon, to be honest. We'll see. When you are doing your lat pull downs, make sure you are just slightly leaning back as the bar comes down, just enough to move your head out of the way. Don't go ahead and turn it into an upper back exercise, you know, a row on the lat pull down machine. No, don't ego lift. Choose a sensible weight that you can use good form with and your lats are gonna grow. Now for the upper chest. And before I talk about the upper chest, I always have to mention how important it is to stay away from overdeveloping the lower chest. For example, on a decline bench press. I fucking hate the decline bench press. It should be banned from all gyms, because when you overdevelop your lower chest and neglect the upper chest, oh my, now you're building a saggy type of look, a saggy chest type of look. We want to stay far away from that. We want to build a nice, masculine, sexy upper chest that fills out the physique. For the upper chest, the absolute best exercise is going to be an inclined converging chest press. So as you press the weight, your elbows are getting closer to the body. Now, for the upper chest as well, the grip width is very important. A shoulder width grip is going to be pretty much perfect. As you get further and further and further away, that kind of eliminates the upper chest. Now, another thing is if you have a very, very underdeveloped chest, just very flat for whatever reason, then you can also incorporate some flat pressing, which is going to target the mid chest more. And finally, the abs. Now, like I've already mentioned several times, you need to be lean enough to see your abs. Those are the muscle that is going to be the most apparent, that if you're not lean enough, you won't see them. But to actually build them, which you need to do as well, hanging leg raises, put some weight in between your legs and lift your legs up until they're about parallel, 90 degrees. And also weighted sit-ups are good as well, I like them. The hanging leg raises are more of a lower ab focus, and the weighted sit-ups or weighted crunches are more of an upper ab focus. So you can put a weight on your chest like this, and then just do the normal sit-up. And when I'm talking about working your abs, I'm only talking about the front of your abs. So the weighted sit-ups and the hanging leg raises, those do that perfectly. What you're not gonna do, what we're not gonna do whatsoever at any time is do like side bends, farmer's walks, this twisty shit that I see people doing. We're not doing any of that because that's building your obliques. We don't want obliques. We don't want big, developed, thick, large obliques because that's going to basically ruin our V-taper. Take us from a nice upside down triangle frame into a fucking square. We don't want that. The abs are actually the muscle that's most obviously apparent to a girl when she sees your physique. Like, I've even had a girl ask me, have you got ab implants or something? I was thinking, what? Are you fucking mad? What do you mean ab implants? I just work my abs. Now that you've got all the exercises, you need to know how to actually structure them into your workout plan. Now, the absolute best split to minimize fatigue, which means you can grow more muscle because you can train hard every session, is going to be upper lower. And the way I format it is upper lower rest, and I just keep doing that on repeat. Upper lower rest, upper lower rest. You do your upper body on Monday, for example, then you do your lower body on Tuesday, and on Wednesday you rest, and then on Thursday upper body again. And another thing you need to know to minimize fatigue, which means you can train hard, which means you can grow muscle, you get it, is your sets and reps. So for the exercises that I've mentioned, you're going to choose an exercise for each muscle and you're going to do 2 sets. That's it, just 2 sets, more than enough. And those sets are going to consist of 4 to 8 reps. And every set, every exercise, you're going to be till complete failure. When you're more advanced, you can go to 0 reps in reserve, which means you go to the point where you know you won't get another rep. But as a beginner, under a year of training, you need to go to failure until you can't fucking speak or breathe. That's going to allow you to learn what the point of failure is like on each exercise. It feels slightly different for each exercise, so you need to know how it feels so that in the future you can stop just before you get there. And as you continue to train like this, you're going to see good progressive overload. Now, progressive overload is the way we know that we're building strength and muscle. It's the measurement we use to determine that. Now, for example, say we're doing an incline Smith machine press for 225 pounds on Monday, and we do that for until failure for 5 reps. Now, on Thursday, your next session comes about, and you do that same weight for 6 reps. So you've increased your reps with the same weight under the same conditions, and that's called progressive overload. Now you can assume that you've built strength and therefore muscle. So as you're training in the gym, with all these optimal exercises and everything, your number one goal is to just get stronger, which means you're going to grow muscle. So you're going to progressively overload and you're going to keep doing that literally indefinitely. So let's say you're now doing 225 on the incline Smith machine press for 6 reps. And then the week after you're doing it for 7. And then the week after that, you're doing it for 8. Once you hit 8 reps, you then increase the weight to get you back down to around 4 or 5 reps. And then you just keep going like that for every exercise. You do the same thing. And then after your sessions, when you go to bed at night, make sure you're sleeping well, make sure you're sleeping enough, because that's going to decrease your fatigue. It's going to allow you to train harder, which means more muscle growth. Now, how much should you sleep? Above 8 hours, not 8 hours, not less than 8 hours, more than 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, 10 and a half hours like me. That's going to see the most optimal results. Now, how should we eat to build these muscles optimally? Now, as I already mentioned, you need to be at a low body fat percentage when you're starting to build muscle. If you're already a bit fat, you need to lean down first so you can build muscle from a nice lean frame, which is going to make you more attractive as well. So first of all, you need to be in a calorie deficit if you've got a bit too much weight. You know, if you can't see your abs, if you've not got a 6-pack, you need to be in a calorie deficit. You get your total daily energy expenditure and you subtract calories from there. 500 for a nice standard deficit and up to 1,000 like I'm even doing now for a more aggressive deficit. And then once you've got lean, you can go on maintenance. So whatever your new total daily energy expenditure is, your caloric maintenance, you just eat at that amount of calories so you can maintain your body fat percentage and then build muscle from there. Your protein should be at around 1 gram per pound of body weight. It's all right to drop a little bit lower, especially when you're at maintenance because your body has more energy. When you're in deficit, I'd definitely keep it at 1 gram per pound of body weight. Your fat should be at an absolute minimum of 0.33 grams per pound of body weight. And if you're in a maintenance, I definitely recommend to get more of that since you have more calories. And then whatever calories you have left, you fill them up with carbs. Carbs are very important because Glycogen, which is sugar, is stored in your muscles, which is then broken down to fuel your exercise, your high intensity weightlifting, and also it fills up your muscles, so it makes you look better, makes you look more attractive. My diet mainly consists of red meat, fruit, eggs, rice, all this stuff, all 100% unprocessed foods like you should be eating as well. Good for your health, good for your skin, good for your muscle growth. The red meat has creatine and plenty of other nutrients. Fruit, nutrients. Eggs, nutrients. Rice is basically just to fill out the carbs without making me feel bad. Now, in terms of how fast you can see results, it depends how long you've been in the gym. Now, I was in the gym for 3 months at this point, and my physique was shit. As you can see, I didn't really know what I was doing. And then I figured out how to train, how to eat, how to sleep. And I did all of them perfectly for like 4 months. And then I turned into this physique. And I mean, I think that's pretty quick from the first to the second physique, right? So if you really want it, if you really decide, yeah, I'm going to do everything perfectly, you can transform your physique in quite a short amount of time. And also, my results with women, yeah, definitely increased as well. Now, if you get lean, like 8 to 12% body fat, stay lean, and then build the muscles that I've talked about, you'll genuinely have a top 1%, a top 0.1% physique, because most guys don't know how to train, don't know how to eat, don't know how to do these things. So when you do that consistently over a decent period of time, you'll far surpass the other guys that have no idea what they're doing. You'll get to the point where you can fuck a different girl every day, no problem. When you build all these muscles together, you get that really nice, attractive physique. Not only the results with women and your physique, but the results with your confidence. You have higher self-esteem. You actually feel like a real man now. And believe me, women don't only notice your physique, but they notice the confidence that comes with your physique. And you've got the physique to back up that confidence, so it just makes sense. Now, probably the number one mistake that guys make in the gym is bulking. Bulking, getting to like 15% body fat, and then never getting lean. Never actually seeing what they look like, never seeing what their face looks like. Like I said earlier, you can have good developed lats, shoulders, upper chest. You could have a good physique, but if it's under fat, you're not going to see it. Girls aren't going to see it. You're not going to see it. You're not going to feel good about yourself because you don't have the physique that you want. Me personally, I made the mistake of bulking and I had more muscle, but more fat. And I got worse results with women than when I had less muscle, but I was a lot leaner. Now, another mistake is targeting the wrong muscles, which makes your physique disproportional. Now, obviously, there's some muscles that you should never train, like the obliques and the lower chest, and even the upper traps. Now, it's not the end of the world, but when you overdevelop your upper traps, it takes away from the V-taper physique because your shoulders aren't as broad anymore, they're more sloped. And your upper traps get a bit activated anyways during upper back exercises, so there's no need to target them. And when you overdevelop these muscles that are not conducive to a nice, attractive physique, it just ruins the aesthetic. Overtraining is an issue as well. You can't overtrain. Now, how do we overtrain? It's basically when you're either doing too much intensity or too much volume or combined really. So like I said in the training section, we're only doing 2 sets, 4 to 8 reps, because that's gonna be a nice balance between muscle growth stimulus and fatigue management. When you're doing like 8 sets, for example, that's crazy. In one muscle group, to failure, that's insane. You're not going to recover. There's no way. When you don't recover in time for your next session, you're not going to see muscle growth. You're not going to see any progressive overload. You're going to see regressive overload. You're going to get weaker. Now, if your progress stalls with your muscle growth, it could be an issue with your training. Are you training intensely enough? Or are you skipping too many sessions here and there? Or with your diet, are you in a deficit and you didn't even realize when you should be around maintenance instead? Or you're not eating enough carbs? Or with your recovery, are you sleeping well enough? Have you got too much stress? All these things, once you've sorted them all out, you should not see any progress, any stalled progress with your muscle growth. You should enjoy the process of building muscle so you can do it long-term sustainably without having crashes and feeling like you're giving up. When you go into the gym, you should be excited to chase that progressive overload every session. That's how you make it so that before you know it, you have a sexy physique and it just came about. So when you focus on all these muscles together to build a nice, attractive physique, a good-looking physique, that's when you see the real changes. All of a sudden, girls want to be around you, they want to talk to you. It's not difficult. All of a sudden, you've got guys coming up to you like, yo, bro, how long you been training? I mean, I had guys coming up to me when I was 9 months into training, asking how long I'd been training, just because I'd focused on the muscles that create a big visual impact. Sometimes I'd lie to them just to make them feel a bit better, because if I said 9 months and they've been in the gym 3 years with a mid physique, it's a bit sad, but those are the things that happen, and those are the things that might happen to you if you focus on building an attractive physique with these muscles. So if you took value from this video, drop a like and watch this one next.